Oh, okay. Fine. So, hi. We have an extra guest in the room. It's the internet and my mom. Hi, Mom. Which is on the floor here. Please don't bump my camera. I'm going to talk a bit about management commitment in lean implementations, and I had all these wonderful slides prepared. But then one of the organizers said that I would love to see a presentation without slides. Everyone uses slides. So I thought I could probably do that. So I'm not going to use these. I'm actually going to use this slide. This is me. I'm Rasmus Strand. People call me Raz. I work as an incident manager for Fujitsu in Sweden. And I'm a trained lean champion and implementer. And I have worked in some lean implementation projects within Fujitsu and external as well. And I am the only non-UK resident to have received a gold accreditation from the Fujitsu Lean Academy, which is sort of a big deal if you're a Fujitsu guy, and if you're not, no one cares. But I'm wearing it anyways. If you want to get hold of me, you should do it through LinkedIn. Also, I'm supposed to volunteer a piece of personal information. It's good custom, so I decided to write that my favorite meal is brunch. Afterwards, I thought about it a bit, and it's like, why? And you're supposed to be able to give reason, and I figured it's just because you can eat all day if you want to. But this is my presentation. It's going to phase out in a bit, but don't worry, it's not very good. And I'm going to leave you a link in the LinkedIn group for this summit anyway, so you can go read it on your own. What I wanted to talk to you about is essentially a story about lean implementation, or rather 15 stories about 15 lean implementations. Sort of some lessons learned and some pitfalls you might be able to avoid, or you might not want to avoid, because if you pull out the lessons learned from them, you can actually sway management. The initial problems that I have quantified when running a lean implementation is that there's normally a lack of initial lean understanding in a group. People have heard the word lean, but they don't actually know what it means. And the worst case scenario is, of course, that they think it means work harder for less. When people say, you should be more lean, it means, do more stuff. We're not going to pay you anymore. So you have to overcome that. Then there is the added problem of a poor lean understanding within management. And this leads to these unrealistic timescales, where a manager at a company, which I will not name by name, said, I think this lean thing is really, really interesting. I think, from your presentation, it sounds really good. And 6 weeks, how's that? Could we be lean in 6 weeks? And you go, you don't really know what you're talking about, do you? So you have to beat some sense into these people. And you have to keep beating this sense into these people, because it is the only way they're going to learn. You have to keep motivating them. You can't hope that they will sustain their own momentum. So you have to keep working at it. I have some tools to keep that sort of fire burning. And one of the things that I like, when I start lean implementations, I start with visual management. It's my favorite one. I like putting up Kanban boards and comm cells and stuff like that, because it gives an immediate feedback to everyone involved. It tells them, we're actually doing something. It's not, oh, that group is doing some sort of task force thing, but I'm not invited, so it might not be me. And then 6 weeks later, someone turns up at my desk and says, hi, I'm on a Gemba. Could you show me what you're doing? These things connect a group, but slower, I find. So I like visual management. I like putting up the consoles everywhere and say, hello, come to the meetings. Now, look at what we're doing here. And this tends to be a sort of low-hanging fruit to collect. Also, I find this an immensely powerful tool to involve management. And I'll tell you what I mean. When I set up comm cells, I set up the audit board at the same time. Now, if you don't have that tool in your particular toolbox, I'll tell you a bit what it is. When you set up any lean activity, you can set up so that your manager and his or her manager comes and audits your work. And they all do this on a regular basis. So for instance, if I set up a comm cell for, say, my service desk, then my champions, the people who are responsible for maintaining this comm cell, they will audit this comm cell once a week to make sure I'm not messing up. Once a week, or once every 2 weeks, let's say, my team leader will do an audit on what my champions are doing. Make sure that they are actually following the audit schedule, checking up that they're actually driving the continuous improvement activities, stuff like that. Then, on, say, a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis, you have my service delivery manager turning up to check that the team leaders are doing their auditing and make sure that they are driving the creative problem-solving process. This keeps management invested because they have to visit all of these comm cells at least once a month, and they have to go to all of these comm cells. They have to see what people are doing and where they're doing the right thing and where they're not doing the right thing. Also, the managers here, it's not just our comm cell, they're actually paying attention. And look, here's the CEO. He turns up once every year, but he's here. This keeps everyone invested in what we're doing. It's not just our team, we're holding our comm cell, we're doing our thing. I don't know if anyone else is doing it, but we're doing it. I also like to take people from one comm cell and put them at another comm cell to share the experience, to see what they're doing different from what we're doing. Keeps everyone sort of honest so that no one sort of goes off the rails and decides that we found a much better way. We just don't do the comm cell because it takes too much time. But if a person from accounting turns up at my service desk comm cell and goes, "Hi, wow, you're running your comm cell a completely different way," I have to actually explain to them and give reasons and think about it. And not just go, "Yeah, this is how we do it." This keeps everyone invested. It's an important factor in all of this. So that's one way I like to keep everyone and specifically management committed in what we're doing. The second thing, and this is tied to one of the initial problems, is that if you're doing lean from scratch, people don't actually know what they want to fix. They have no clue. They just know, well, we could probably do better. We don't know what we want to do better. But we'd like to be better because right now we're all struggling. So what you have to do, what I find I have to do, is come in and do pre-implementation metrics, pre-implementation KPIs. Just go out, look at what they're doing, and measure it. Just write down. Right now, it takes on average 4 days to solve a ticket at the service desk. You have a first-time fix of about 12%, and you have about this much in your backlog, say 1,500 tickets. Then, once you start running your implementation, you can keep running these metrics. And you will probably see a stark improvement. Once you start seeing this improvement, this is a good metric to show to management and go, look, we're actually making a difference. If you don't have that pre-implementation KPI to lean on, you have nothing to show for it. All you can say is, look, these numbers here, they're good. Well, good compared to what? But if you have the baseline for this is what it looked like last year, people go, oh, that's a kind of a big gap. It's like the CKV stuff this morning when they said, well, we have a control group. We can just compare to farmers that don't have these poor area outreach programs in place and see that we're actually increasing our crop yield 100% compared to you guys. That's important, and it keeps management really invested because they can see the change. Next thing that I like is that management will tend to think of this as the soup of the day. It is something that you throw out because we did the other stuff. Okay, we tried to do the lean, the agile stuff. That didn't really work out too well. Okay, so then we sent off 2 guys to get an ITIL certification, and then they came back and nothing happened. And now we're going to do the lean thing for 6 weeks, and no, it's not going to work. So you need to have a clear understanding from the very get-go the expectations of this, how long it's going to take, and you have to keep drilling it into the heads of these senior level management that you will have to sacrifice short-term goals to reach a long-term improvement. You can't expect everyone to work and meet their SLAs and do all this stuff and do lean on top of that. You can't expect everyone to do 120% work for 6 months to start improving. It's just not going to work. You have to let them know that they will have to give a short-term sacrifice, either by sacrificing SLAs or by investing additional funds, getting more people. If you don't do this stuff, then they will just look at the numbers and go, well, you are improving, but then we see this problem popping up and this problem popping up. You have to be able to tell them, I did tell you this stuff. I did tell you that this is going to take a year before we see long-term sustainable results. That's where the maturity evaluation comes in. I like maturity evaluations. I do them on different aspects of the lean implementation as I go. I tend to do maturity evaluations on the finished ComCell. When everything is up and they've run a few meetings, depending on what kind of organization it is, then you go in and you do a maturity evaluation and make sure that everyone knows that we're actually going to check you now. We're going to see how well you're doing. What are the areas of improvement? Where could you get better at this? And people go, oh, it's like a test? Yes, absolutely. And why is this a test? Because then we know if you still need help with this or if we can move on to the next part. My favorite second part of an implementation, also very low-hanging fruit, is 5S, workplace organization. I was tasked to set up, just do lean for the finance department, just go. And I walk into the finance department and these people are looking up at me going, lean, we tried that, 6 years ago and it didn't work out so well, so don't want it. That's a problem. You have to overcome that initial sort of resistance to it. You have to give them a reason. Come on, try again. You didn't have this beard last time. Come on, you can do it. So you push them a bit. And then you do the low-hanging fruit. You set up ComCell for everyone. Everyone sees asset management now has a ComCell. Look, billing has a ComCell. And we're, oh, so they're doing it. Then maybe we should be doing it too. And then we do the exchange, and then we have the audits. And then we go, okay, next, 5S. You mean like cleaning? Well, no, not really. What we're going to do is that we're going to use a method to make your workplace better. They go, sounds like cleaning. You go, yeah, well, you're only going to have to do this once. They go, really? Yeah, really. So I went through the finance department. They did it as an activity. I talked to their manager and they said, yeah, because we figured that if we do it out of office hours, no one's going to get any calls. That's good. We buy 4 bottles of wine and everyone's happy and we just clean. We cleared out in a finance department about this many heads. We cleared out 9 cubic meters of computers that were stowed away in closets and cupboards and on shelves. And I kept asking them, why did you keep this? It's dead. Well, this other guy, he used this computer, when he worked here. When was that? 97. Okay. And you figured that you should just hold on to it because, there might be something important on it. Can you start it? No. Do you have his password? No. Do you even think he has a password anymore? Is his account gone now? Yeah. Throw it away. And you keep going through this office and you find all of these things. They had a spare printer. It just stood there. It was dead. It'd been dead for 10 years. No one's using it, but they didn't recycle it. It was just standing there. They had 450 ring binders in closets. 450 empty ones, pristine new ones. And I go, do you use these? No. Why not? Everything's email now. Okay, so do you use any ring binders? Yeah. Where do you get them? We go to storage. Throw them away. So we kept doing this, took all night, and these little label makers that you have, you print out the stapler, copy machine. We found out that there were 9 staplers in the department that are being used 3 times a week, 3 times, once a week by each person. I said, would it not be prudent to have one in the middle of the room so you don't have to, look where it is? Yeah, but then it might run out or it might be lost. Or we could write stapler, put it there. If it's lost, we'll know. It's visually managed. Maybe. Okay, if you're uncertain about it, we can make it a KPI on our comms app. Precision of office tool displacement. And they went, well, we could probably, look into it. And then, it stayed. Because people know that it's supposed to be there. It's not a big thing. It's a very low-hanging fruit. Some people like value flow analysis or quality function deployment, so starting with creative problem solving. To each their own. I just find that to deploy lean quickly and to get people in the right mindset, I like visual management. It starts off on the right foot because it shows a lot of what lean is all about. It shows immediacy, it shows connectedness, it shows comprehensive cooperation, it shows a cohesive vision, it fosters management commitment because they can see that people are actually working. One of the best things you can do, of course, is make sure that management get the same lean training as everyone else. And then you bring someone from the shop floor up to the management comms app. And they'll stand there going, I don't understand these metrics. And that's fine. They're not supposed to understand those metrics, just like upper management will probably not understand the metrics on the shop floor, but they will see that these guys are also running a comms app. And it's run pretty much the same way. And they'll feel that, well, it's not just us. Everyone is running this. Ah, interesting. Now, I can't do lean deployments. It's impossible for me because I don't know what you guys do. Oh, good. I don't know what you guys do. It's impossible for me to select the tools needed for you to become lean. So I select champions. I select one person per group in this organization. So one person from asset management, and one person from billing, and one person from this, and one person from that. At least one person per 8 to 10 employees. If it's a large group, then we just need more. I can just leave it. It's fine. Yeah. And these people will be the bridge between the lean implementer, the person who is tasked with making sure that everyone is lean, and the operation of the organization itself. Because the people on the shop floor support do not know the lean tools. They don't know how to set up a concept. They don't know how to do creative problem solving. And I don't know what it is that this group feels they struggle with. It's impossible for me to know. It would take a 2-year Gemba for me to sit down and actually learn what the hell they do in the billing department. I can probably figure out a service desk because I worked in one, but if I were supposed to do that with billing and asset, it would take forever. So I just pick someone and go, hey, would you like to be more lean? And they go, sure, why not? So you train them, you give them all the tools, and you say, now you are my interface. I will support you in all the things you do. I will tell you when you mess up. You can bring any questions to me and I will answer them. And they go, oh, so I'm supposed to do the lean implementation. That's right, because you know better than me. This is also a good way to manage the commitment of the group, because they feel it's not something that someone is doing to us. Or even worse, something someone is doing for us. They come in and, throw tools at us. But it's something that we are doing for ourselves. Now this requires management commitment. You have to make sure the management is okay that I'm going to take you out of your workplace for 3 days to train you in how to set up your comms app. And if they say, no, it's a waste of money, then you're not going to be able